Here are the reasons your glutes are weak. You need to know what these do because you don't know what they do right now. You think they extend your thigh. That's what you think they do. And that's the reason why yours are weak, because you're missing two other things that they do. They outwardly rotate the thigh. So these muscles right here turn the entire thigh outwards. What they do is they take the arch out of the spine. So they posterior tilt your pelvis. So now that you know the three things they do, when they all work together, when you posterior tilt them and outwardly rotate them and then extend them, now that muscle gets the maximus contractimus. So the reasons why you have weak glutes. Well, postural imbalances cause weak glutes. Number one, this is the position of a flat back or reduced curve. Oftentimes it comes from a kyphosis, too much rounding, so what your body doesn't like the round, so just shoves the hips forward, deactivating the glutes. Number two, what happens is you have anterior tilt or sway back, big arch in the back. And another postural imbalance is internal rotation of the thigh. So if you're standing here, and now if you look at your knees and you see a valgus collapse or your knees are knock knees, this is another super common postural imbalance that's associated with weak glutes. Now, there's common symptoms that you might feel. You might go, well, I don't know, how do I know if mine are weak? Well, if you've got back pain, hip pain, or knee pain, if you have pain, your glutes have been weak for so long that your body is jamming on joints and discs and causing issues. If you have pain, it means it's been weak for years and decades and eons. Common symptoms that you have, signs and symptoms you have weak glutes. You do a good workout, you do your squats, you do your deadlifts, you do your glute bridges, and you feel it in your quads and you feel it in your back. You just cannot feel it in your glute. If you work out with glute exercises and don't feel it in your glutes, your shit's weak. Other signs and symptoms that you have weak glutes. We have the, plumber's crack syndrome. I don't think you can do it. You definitely cannot do it. Plumber's crack syndrome is where your pants PCS. Your pants are falling down. You know, that's when guys will go, fuck it, I'm just going to go suspenders. Because the belt doesn't work, because the belt holds at your hips. But your ass keeps the pants from falling. So you can't get a belt that'll hold it. So you got to go, screw it, just go in suspender style. If you're wearing suspenders, your ass is definitely weak. Okay? I don't need suspenders. Look at these things. Anyways, beside the point. Now we're getting into how to align your body properly to activate, to reactivate, to awaken, to connect your brain to the muscle finally. You have to connect it before you strengthen it. Get it? So let's teach them the basic transverse snap. Okay. Number one, in all of these, you're going to do all of these three things here in every one of the next three exercises. You get it? Number one, you're going to get this belly button of yours, let it stick out like most people do, and you're going to draw this belly button all the way back to the spine. Just snap it back. Good, and snap it back again. I want you to do it. Are you doing this right now? Are you snapping your shit? Stand up, snap your shit. What are you sitting there with Cheeto dust in your fingers? Pull your belly button back to your spine. Do it right now. Pull those Doritos tighter into your stomach. You better, this is a health channel. You better not be eating Doritos, okay? This shit will kill you. Okay, good. Now let it relax again and snap that back. What this does is this allows your body, it's very difficult to posterior tilt your hips with a weak rectus abdominis. With a weak transverse abdominis. That muscle, that is the snap muscle. So you snap it back, number one. Number two, now that it's snapped back, you're going to now focus on tucking your hips under. Now you can let it arch into extension. Tuck it under all the way. No, I see what they're doing. You know what they're doing, babe? They're doing this. That's what they're doing. No, this is not, we're not humping, okay? And if you're humping like that, you ain't pleasing him or her the way you think. What they're saying to you ain't true. What they're saying to you ain't true, okay? Because to find those sweet spots, those G spots, the sweet spots, it reminds, whatever, the prostates, whatever you guys are humping, requires you to posterior tilt, okay? So a way to do this, you keep your weight on your heels and then focus on this movement. Do you feel it activating your glutes right now? Hallelujah. This is how you turn your glutes on, okay? Now, transverse is snapped. Hips are tucked under. You feel the glutes right now? Let's add a couple more moves, okay? Let's add from this position. You're only gonna add, they're gonna add an external rotation of the foot standing. There you go, exactly. Let's give Babe this view here. I call her Babe because this is my wife, okay? I don't call my models Babe, okay? I call them, this is Babe, okay? Okay? All right. You're building, you're stacking, you're learning, you're feeling. Transverse is snapped, yeah. Hips tucked underneath, yeah. You got the glute. If you feel too much hamstring, that's okay for now, okay? So now what you're gonna do, with this tucked, you're going to lift one heel, lift this heel off the ground, so keep the heel on the ground, my fault, heel on the ground, and outwardly rotate the foot. Because remember the number 2 action that the glute does, it outwardly rotates the thigh. Look at these fibers. So as the thigh rotates, now as it contracts, see it? See that? And just like the posterior tilt, watch this. When she's an anterior tilt, the muscle pulls from here. Watch, ready? Pulls. Little side view, babe. Anterior tilt, show again. It pulls. Go ahead. No, posterior tilt. There. Again. And down. So that muscle, however, when your foot comes off the ground, we're going to get into number 3 right now. Because when this foot comes off the ground, lift the whole foot off the ground, now what happens is it muscle pulls from the top and extends the thigh back. Or extend, there you go, exactly. Extends the thigh back. Now again, let's get all of our pieces together. You've got your transverse snapped. You get your pelvis tucked under and posterior. Okay, transverse snap back. Pelvis tucked into posterior. Foot, thigh externally rotated out. And now, just that little bit of extension. Just that tiny little bit of extension. Not too much. Hold the contraction. You're not trying to go, 1, 2, 3. Stop that. You need to slow down with your life to wake up muscles. To wake up muscles requires más despacio. Más despacio, por favor. Más. Slow. Feel the contraction. Feel. This concept, what you're learning, these checkpoints apply to everything. Your body only moves in 7 ways. That's it. Your body hinges, squats, lunges, pushes, pulls, steps, and then I always miss one. Rotates. That's it. So whatever your sport is or whatever you love to do, whether you garden or whether you're a professional golfer, you need to implement those skills into now the functional movements that most apply to your sport. And after you apply those to the functional movements most apply to your sport or hobby, if your sport or hobby is just living life, it's just those 7. And then you take those into your sport. It's progression. And then you got to take it slow. Like for example now, Katie's now going to do a hip hinge. So she's going to hinge from the hips, which most of you cannot do this right, so don't even try this right now. All the way down, she's hip hinging, hip hinging, hip hinging. Now, to activate the glute, because the foot, she's not going to spin the foot out. The foot stays still. Ready for this? She still outwardly rotates her thigh. Okay? And from this position, her transverse is still snapped in tight. And now what she does is as her body is going to start raising, she's posterior tucking her pelvis to the top with that external rotation. As long as you hold your tuck, you can extend your thigh 10 degrees. So let's show you where 10 is. So keep it tucked from the full tucked. Now the top of a deadlift, she can, without losing the posterior tilt, and so can you, shift forward 10 to there. That's the top of the deadlift. When you lose the core brace, when you lose that transverse snap, and now that's how you go into hyperextension. So, the glutes, keep going. In a nutshell, go and turn it into a squat as well and into a rotation because it's an outward rotator. So that glute right there, that left glute on her, remember, it outwardly rotates. So if you're a golfer, you're golfing with that anything outward rotation or turning. So in a nutshell, in summary, your glutes are weak because of your postural imbalances that you've developed from either one accident, a trauma, childhood injury, missing developmental periods in your life, sitting at a desk for freaking however many years. In school, we had to sit there with our hips flexed and back forward and no one teaching us what to do. Those postural imbalances cause weak glutes. They cause other muscles to become weak as a compensation. As these muscles are weak, what occurs now is it puts uneven stress upon our joints, upon our discs, upon our ligaments in our body, causing back pain, sciatica, knee pain. All of these not coming just from the weak glute, but the weak glute is one of the many components affected by this imbalanced chain that you've created, because the body compensates head to toe. And so the reason why you can't strengthen your glutes is you're trying to strengthen them with your postural imbalances. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do deadlifts. And you're like, you're gonna feel my back and my hamstrings because you're carrying those imbalances with you. You carry those into all of your movements. So what you learned today is you learned to set yourself up in alignment. You learned how to keep those hips posterior tucked, apply outward rotation of the thigh, and then to extend the thigh with those positions in check. Great. Slow and controlled. And then you apply that to your kickbacks. Yeah, we basically build up to kickbacks today.
That's kickback, yeah.
We build up to kickbacks today. And eventually after this, you're going to take it in other things. And we have tons of other resources for you to help you fix your shit. We have programs, we have our app, we have communities, we have everything you need in there. Hundreds of exercises in a row with different levels to help you fix your entire body.